Hello and welcome to Fraggle Talk Classic, the unofficial Fraggle Rock podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. My name is Beth and I am rewatching for the millionth time.
My name is Julia and I'm rewatching for the first time in 10 years.
My name is Adam, and I'm actually watching this for the second time because earlier I watched it for the negative first time, and so I forgot it, and so I had to watch it once to get back to not knowing it, and then watch it again now to experience it for the first time.
Don't make me do math.
You don't have to. I explained it all. But real quick, before we record, I've got this little hole in the wall in my studio that I keep meaning to just like cover up, and if we could just real quick before we start recording, I just want to take care of. Wait, hold on. There's someone in there. Oh, here, come on out. Oh, wow, this is amazing. Oh, my God. Would you introduce yourself, amazing person who just came out of the hole in our studio wall?
I'm looking for Doc. I'm Larry Merkin. I produced the show a gazillion years ago, and I watched this particular episode for the first time last week in at least probably about 25 years, because last time was when I did the special features for the DVD sets, and
wow.
And this is why I love this episode. Well, I love almost every episode, but anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's briefly me.
Incredible.
We are so happy to have you here.
So much.
And for our Gen Z listeners, DVDs, they used to give you movies on like flat little shiny Frisbee mirrors. They're still around if you need to find them.
Yep.
Buy physical media.
Yeah, and I can talk about 78 RPM records and typewriters and things like that. So,
oh wow, that's scary.
Although Bob Sandler, who was one of our writers, he would walk around with a pencil on the set and he would say, "I have the most efficient technology on the set because I can change, I can make things better or worse, I can make them cheaper or more expensive with this little piece of technology."
I love that.
That reminds me of the Terry Pratchett bit about how potatoes are worth more than gold. If you're on a desert island, which would you rather have, potatoes or gold? Potatoes can make more of themselves. Can gold make more of itself?
I like that.
Beth, you want to tell us about this awesome episode we get to discuss?
Yes, today we are talking about episode 10 of season 3, The Secret Society of Poohbahs, which originally aired on March 4th, 1985, written by Jerry Jewell and directed by George Bloomfield.
This one rules.
Yeah.
This one's fun.
It's great.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack. Let's dive right in. Larry, can you tell us a little bit about overall your history with Fraggle Rock and how you got brought on board and all that good stuff?
I'll try to do it. I can talk about this like all afternoon, but very briefly, I came on. The show was shot in Toronto. Duncan Kenworthy, a wonderful producer, one of the co-creators of the show, did the first 12 episodes, and he was going back to London to deal with the international co-productions. And so they were looking for someone who was local, a producer who was local, but they also wanted someone who was good working with writers on scripts because they felt, just because it was a new show and it's very ambitious, they felt that the scripts weren't quite where they wanted them to be yet. The first 12 had been made, but had not been on the air yet. So very briefly, I was recommended. I met Diana Birkenfield, who was the executive in charge of production, and we got on very well. She's was from Pittsburgh, and I always have said that I've never met anybody from Pittsburgh that I didn't like. And she was great. And so she said, "I think you should meet Jim." So I went down to meet Jim in New York on a Sunday, and the building on East 69th Street. And it was Sunday, but it was bustling. The shop was there, and the people were working and all that. And I was a drama producer at the CBC, the public broadcaster here. I'd never done kids, I'd never done puppets, any of that. I did do a lot of work with writers, and that's what I love. One of my strengths. And I grew up in Cumberland, Maryland. I'm going to go around a little bit here, but I grew up in Cumberland, Maryland.
We are all about that.
And Cumberland, Maryland is about 120 miles from Washington, D.C. And we were one of the very first places in the United States to have this thing called cable television because we were in the mountains and you couldn't get a signal. So when I was a kid, I don't remember Sam and Friends, but I do remember the Wilkins coffee commercials.
Yes.
And they're still funny. They're still hilarious. But I remember as a kid really liking them. And of course, I had no idea that this would have anything to do with my life later on. So anyhow, I go to meet Jim, and I used not to tell this story because I thought people would think this is about me, but it's about Jim. Okay, so that's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we went in to meet, and we started to chat, and he was very warm and lovely, and all those things you expect him to be. And I talked about how I work with writer, how collaborative I am, how there's a management system, but it's about the best idea winning. It's not about your ego, and it's sort of this is how I produce. This is what I believe in.
Yeah.
So Diana comes in about 20 minutes into the conversation, and I realized maybe 3-4 years later that she was coming in to see whether she needed to throw me out of the meeting. So she came in and she said, so I just want to see how everything is. This is a very preliminary get to know you kind of meeting. Nobody's making any commitments. And Jim says, 20 minutes after meeting me, he says, well, I'm ready to make a commitment. And I go, what? I mean, I don't go what, but inside I'm going what? And I go, well, could I wait? Could I have a day?
Like you would when Jim Henson is saying he's ready to make a commitment.
And so now this is what's important about this story, is that what Jim knew, he knew I had the skill set that they were looking for, and Diana had done research and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what he knew from our conversation, which I didn't know, is that I had the right personality and the way of working and collaborating that was critical to this group. And that's this whole group. I'm sure you've heard from a lot of people, how you work with one another is critical to making the work wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I went back, and I only said can I have a day because I kind of thought I had to be producerly and cool and all that sort of things. And but then I got really excited, and the only condition was that I had to meet Jerry Jewell, because if Jerry and I wouldn't get on, then it was not going to work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just after Thanksgiving, I can't remember. And I flew out to Cambria, California, where he and Susan lived, which is equidistant between San Francisco and well, you guys would know, you're out there, San Francisco and Los Angeles. And went in, and they're very warm, and we had tea and, homemade bread. It was really lovely. And someone said to me, oh, you're going to like Jerry. He looks like Santa Claus. And and the truth is that he didn't look like Santa Claus. He was Santa Claus.
Oh.
And so we went to his office after we'd been there for about 40 minutes. And I was taught by another mentor of mine that and by this time I really wanted to do this. Okay. I really wanted to do this. And I was more nervous, I think, meeting Jerry than I was meeting Jim. And I said to him, this mentor of mine said, if you're not going to do something, you can be magnanimous and generous and say whatever you want to be supportive of the person. But if you're going to do it, you got to tell the truth. Now, there's a way to do that, So I went in, and by this point, I had seen all the 12 episodes, and there were about 6 episodes for season 2 in outline or first draft form, kind of rough form. So I said, well, here's what I think. I mean, I love this show. I love all the ideas in this show. I love these characters. I just think you're trying to do too many things at once. Okay. And, we got to choose which character it's going to be about for this episode and what thing you want to do. And you don't have to do even though we know all the stuff about the world and all the interrelationships, you don't have to do all that in one episode.
Yeah.
And Jerry just burst into a big smile, and he says, you're absolutely right. Okay. And we just, from that point on, for the next 27 years, we just laughed together. I mean, we just worked and laughed, and it was,
wow,
a wonderful, wonderful person. I have this other thing with me and Jerry is I have this wonderful pencil box he gave me, which has this great quote from H.G. Wells on it, which says, no passion in the world is equal to the passion to alter someone else's draft.
Incredible.
Wow.
That's really good.
Oh.
And then we came on, and I had to learn about puppets and all those sort of things. So, and I think because I was a drama producer, not a kids producer, and the fact that we were in the variety department of the CBC and not the kids department, and because we kind of had this unwritten rule that we weren't going to hire people who only did kids writing. We wanted
Right.
so
Yeah.
so we had we had poets, and we had novelists, and we had other kinds of writers, and I think that just informed sort of the whole manner of working.
Yeah. It seems like it definitely, and we were talking a little bit about this before the recording, but like it seems that definitely influenced the tone that y'all took about respecting your audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even especially that note about like, we need to not be doing everything at once, and we don't need to show them everything at once. One of the things that I personally have really admired about this show as someone who's watching it for the first time is the slow reveal of the interconnectedness over time.
Yeah.
It leaves you wondering, which is not a thing that a lot of shows do these days.
No, and it was very deliberate, that idea, because we believe that this was built into the DNA of the whole show, is that we had these four species: the humans, the Fraggles, the Gorgs, the Doozers,
Mm-hmm.
and we can talk about the Ditsies if you want. They were the fifth one, and
Nice.
Yes.
and a story about the Ditsies too. But the whole idea was these characters don't know how interdependent they are. The audience will see it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's only till we later on do some more concrete things where they really know that they need to something from one another and how they're interdependent. Because if you're just sort of lecturing if otherwise, and we wanted to have this engagement with the audience, so that that they wonder what's going on, and they get engaged, and they think things through, and they talk to their friends or whatever, and it's I read a wonderful piece about 15 years ago by Terry Rossio, who's wrote Shrek and Pirates of the Caribbean with his partner, whose name I'm forgetting right now. But he wrote a wonderful piece about exposition, in which he says, the audience does not need to know. The audience needs to wonder.
Ooh.
And I think that is key, it's in terms of how you engage. And it's very hard to do, because when you're working on anything, and you know all about the characters, and you've done all this research, if it's a subject that you need to do all this. So because you've done all this work, you think, well, I got to tell the audience that. No, you really don't want to do that. You got to figure out what's important and when. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. But there was something in the conception of Fraggle Rock that it was just very respectful.
Yeah. That feeling of like, hey, you might not necessarily know what it is that I, the storyteller, am talking about yet, but you know that I do. This little world building detail might not necessarily make sense to you in the grand scheme of things, but you can see that it's an intentional placement of there, and it will make sense later.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this kind of unwritten a contract agreement with you and the audience, in terms of, if you trust us, we're not going to screw around. We're not going to betray the trust.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why, nobody believes me when I say that we never got a note from HBO or the CBC ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's because they trusted us. And of course, Jim provided the umbrella so that they trusted us. And we never betrayed that trust. And so it was great. But
Yeah.
told you I could go on. So
Definitely shows. Should we dive into the specifics of this episode? Because it's a great one.
I would love to.
Yeah.
So we get this amazing opener. Doc walks in and goes, "Sprocket, you're not going to believe it. Ned Schimmelfinney has become a chipmunk." And Sprocket has this beautiful little pantomime of a "no way" and does this little short guy gesture with his hands.
Yes, turns out the Royal Order of Chipmunks.
Yeah. Which I'm assuming is akin to the elks, or like the things that exist in our world, the lodges.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Masons,
Masons,
etc.
yeah. And Doc does the classic, like, just trash talking and being like, oh, he thinks he's so great. Why would anyone want to be part of this stupid club? And then, of course, he gets a phone call and is invited to join. And then he is like, oh, of course. And, you know, Sprocket has a moment with the camera where he's like, can you believe this guy? And I can, based off of all we've seen on Doc. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
That's also, I mean, that's another one of those little respect for the audience moments, because that could have been played up so much more ham-handedly, and instead we just get to see, he's like, oh, I'm going to trash talk them, oh, I'm getting invited, oh, I'm excited now.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to that thing of trust where, like, it's such a, I think we've all been there where we're, like, big thumbs downing something that a friend is doing, and really it just comes down to being envious. And, you know, whether you're an adult like us or a kid maybe watching this show, you've experienced that. And it doesn't need to, like, more explanation, because we're like, oh yeah, I've been there before. And it's wonderful.
Well, there's this humanity to everything that Jerry Jewell ever wrote. And you know, where he sees the foibles that we each have inside of us. And then Jerry Parks, people don't know, in Canada, he was one of our big dramatic actors. I mean, he's a really important actor. And not a big star. He was more of a theater person, TV person, but a wonderful actor. And he just was happy to make a fool of himself in the most delightful human way, week after week after week, you know. So there's this humanity to this whole show that I love, but it's all about, this is really all about, you know, Jerry Jewell's vision of humanity. And if he's gonna tell a story about envy, this is how he's gonna tell it, you know.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So we fade to Fraggle Rock, and Red is reading a story out loud, and she's getting to a really super suspenseful part, right as Moki is walking up behind her and is super excited, and we get this great little comedy bit of Red going, suddenly a hideous Gibabeast came up and screamed, and Moki goes, Red! And Red falls backwards so fast. The slapstick in this episode is great.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And it's really well directed by George Bloomfield. It's really well directed by him. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, we get our first glimpse of the Poohbahs, the new secret society that is all the rage in Fraggle Rock. And I liked this note from Muppet Wiki. When we first see the Poohbahs off in the distance, it's actually the miniature RC versions of Moki and Boober that have been dressed up to look like these Poohbah characters.
I figured it was miniatures just because they're so far away and we know the sets that they're using. But also, I don't know if we've ever really seen something like this in the show so far, where it's like they're observing from a distance. It's not that they're like small with the Gorgs. We're like getting this like kind of slow zoom, but they're so far away. And it's just a cool perspective that we haven't really gotten. But yeah, the what is it? The High Holy Order of the Poohbahs is their full name. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually did a little bit of a deep dive on this because I was having a moment of like, oh, Poohbah, is that like,
I had the same search,
is that a term that didn't age well? And turns out, no, actually, it is a term derived from the name of a very haughty, prideful character named Poohbah from Gilbert and Sullivan play.
Yo.
And this dude apparently was like a really high-end bureaucrat. He was the first Lord of the Treasury, the Lord Chief Justice, the Commander-in-Chief, and the Lord High everything else. And apparently they just took the name by putting the two negative sort of exclamations of Pooh and Bah together.
Oh, I didn't dive that deep. I love that.
That's so awesome.
I mean, this is all according to Wikipedia, but the sources seem to check out.
Well, it's also we you know, that's a word we knew, like making the show about that Poohbahs were, you know, full of themselves, and you know, you it's like a high mucky muck or whatever, you know, and but I didn't remember at all what you just said about the distance shot and how that we did it with those other puppets. I mean, I forgot all about, but I like that shot. I think it's a really nice shot.
Yeah. One of the things we've been noting is, like, especially starting in season 2 and moving even deeper into season 3, the cinematography has been fantastic. The things that they are doing with camera and perspective and just like longer continuous takes, and also setting up the way that they'll like pan into a scene and give you little world building details or like doozers or flora and fauna as they're getting into the scene to establish not just the shot but the world that it's in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's always something that I agree with you. I think we got better and better as we went. We I think we really started to hit our stride in season 3. I think we really, really started to do it. And, those things like the Doozers doing stuff in the foreground and the background. So unless there was something in the script that was specific that the Doozers had to do, we didn't really talk about that at the production meetings. But Foz's group, Foz Fazakis' group, including Tom Newby and Larry Jameson, those people, they created all this whole world of the Doozers. They gave them names that we never knew. They had all this, they would decide what was going on in the background of this particular shot that nobody's going to know, okay? is this is what's happening, this is what they're trying to do, or whatever. And that's why it feels like it's alive. And you do feel like, well, if the camera stopped there, we could have a show.
Yeah.
But that's, again, the collaborative nature of how, everybody worked. Everybody was expected to do their best, and if not overly directed. And if something was off, we would say, no, that's too much or whatever. But it was, you just get much more if everybody's committed to having fun.
Oh yeah. And so Moki really wants to join this society, and Red is like really supportive, even though she says she thinks it's silly.
I love this first moment where Moki's so excited and then just completely embarrasses herself. Because like the whole episode is about, Moki taking herself too seriously, but it's really intense when you're taking something seriously.
Totally.
And like meeting someone who was like really famous and important to you, and you find yourself stumbling over your words, and then you get self-conscious, and then you're stumbling even more and saying more stupid things.
It's kind of like if you were making a podcast because you were like a huge fan of something, and you managed to get like the producer of the thing that you were a huge fan on the podcast, and then you realized that the sort of aside that you were doing to sort of compare something was going on like too long, and you didn't really have like an off-ramp for that, so you just sort of kind of teetered out.
I have an off ramp.
Oh, glorious! Thank goodness.
Oh, thank goodness.
This is it's right on subject, but it's off subject.
Perfect.
And that is I had an experience a million years ago. I was the literary manager of the Mark Taper Forum in Los Angeles, and we did a production of Juno and the Paycock with Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon, and Maureen Stapleton.
Dang.
Wow.
And we were in the first read through. And we do the first act, and then there's a break. And I go back to my office, which is big because we had lots. We get like 25 scripts a week. And so I had 3 desks and all sorts of things. So Jack Lemmon walks into the office and he says, "Excuse me, could I use the phone?" Okay? Now, I'm still a major Jack Lemmon fan. I just think it was one of the great actors. Okay? So I'm sitting there trying to be cool, and this is pre-computer, so I'm like writing things, and then he finishes up, and he says, "Thanks very much." And I said, "You're welcome." I said, we haven't met. I'm Larry Merkin. I'm the literary manager of the theater, and I want you to know that you've always been a great fan of mine. And
Perfect.
And he just burst into laughter. He was very warm. He was very nice. But that's exactly the moment you're talking about. So.
Yup.
I love that.
Yeah, Red. So this is the frame on this embarrassing thing is Red is just like, well, you want to join? Just go talk to them. And she like physically pushes Moki to go talk to them, and of course, Moki winds up feeling really embarrassed and like misspeaking, and then the Grand High Poohbah points out that there's like a blue stain on her sweater, but there's this little detail that I want to point out that is just it speaks to just the brilliance of the show, and also I think the brilliance of the puppeteers, specifically Karen Prell, because there's this conversation happening between Moki and the Grand High Poohbah, and Red is in the background and is actively paying attention.
Yeah.
You can see her face kind of shift a little bit as the beats play out, as she's sort of like having small little emotional reactions, and you can see her kind of turn back and forth a little bit to focus on each person as they're talking.
And start to react as she goes like, oh, this is not going great for Moki.
Yeah. We've said it before, we'll say it again. There's no seams in this world building. It's fantastic.
These are great puppeteers, who they are always in the moment, and if the moment had changed, Karen would have done something slightly different, but would have been in the moment. These are some of the great performers of the world, and so it's just wonderful to watch it.
Yeah.
I think there's something really important there about embarrassment, because it's something that we somehow learn from the grown-ups in our lives when we're young, because kids come into the world with no shame whatsoever.
Right.
And then somewhere along the lines, they start to learn, like, oh, if I do this thing or say the wrong thing, there are going to be social consequences. And you start to feel icky about that. And then, like, oh no, what if I mess up in the wrong way? And that feeling of embarrassment starts to grow. And poor Moki is kind of stuck in that moment of, yeah, if the people that you're trying to impress are also taking it too seriously, that can be terrifying as well. And she, for all she knows, this is a very serious organization and people that she needs to impress.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it's one of those situations where, like, you embarrass yourself, and then instead of just, like, taking a breath and kind of resetting, you just keep kind of digging your own hole because you're floundering, and it's just, yeah, we've all been there. This situation, I don't know if any of y'all listened to the podcast Off Book, but
Oh, yeah.
Jess McKenna was at Pickathon a couple years ago, and I was in the backstage area because I had done poetry at that festival. And Stephen was like, it was a very similar situation where my husband was like, just go talk to her. Like, just go tell her that you're a big fan. And then I went over and, like, my mind just went blank. And I was just like, I like you on this podcast and this one. And then she tried to, like, be nice and engage. And I was like, I just can't for whatever reason. It's just, it's not the right day.
I would have the same response talking to Jess McKenna. She's incredibly talented.
She's so sweet. She was the sweetest person. And then, like, Zach was, like, across also, and I was like, I can't also talk to him. This is too much for me.
Oh.
Yeah. But I obviously we'll get the turn with Red at the end, the reveal of Red's involvement with the Poohbahs, spoiler alert. But I also think it's, like, such a good, like, she's like, hey, it's silly, don't take it too seriously, but also, of course you're worthy. Go talk to them. It's gonna be fine. She's very supportive, but also very level-headed about it, which we don't always get this side of Red, and I really liked getting to see it.
I mean, that's one of the great things about Red is she's a very aggressive person, and that means if she's being supportive of you, she's going to be supportive of you very aggressively.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. And the other thing about all this to me is that, again, it goes back to Jerry Jewell, but it's also how the performers interpret the roles, is there's not an ounce of meanness in any of this. This is all about your humanity, and Moki just embraces. I mean, Kathy really embraces Moki's drive to try to impress, and then all the embarrassment, and plays it fully, knowing that it's going to come back later. But but again, it goes back to, this story could be told a lot of other ways, and it could get mean. And this is just a joy.
Yeah. And so then we get to see Moki process her frustration and negative self-talk feelings with a poem.
Who hasn't been there?
Oh, boy.
Me, at least once a week.
And it's honestly, I have had more lukewarm opinions on Moki's poetry before, in part because I think some of her poems are written to sort of induce those feelings in the viewer. But this one, simple, short, to the point, excellent.
I do want to point out, it follows a very similar scheme and may in fact be a continuation of the poem she was reciting in episode 122, Moki's Funeral, because that was the poem about white birds and death. You remember?
The white birds. Yeah.
That one, I found the chunk, was "Lo, as the fiery sun doth wend its way towards westward rest, then do the birds, the white, white birds, fly to the sky, fly up, fly on." I was like, oh, this is a continuation of that, or like a parallel to it, or a conversation with it. Because we get, "Then did the bird, the dull gray bird, sink down and down beyond to despond." So it's got the same scheme, just a very different vibe.
Yeah, and it's a trip because you can tell that she's being mean to herself when she says the dull gray bird.
Yeah.
And like that type of processing is not a thing you get to see modeled in kids shows a lot. Like I'm trying to remember the last time I saw somebody in a kids show have a complicated, ugly feeling that included some frustration with themselves and process it in art. And I think Steven Universe, because they do singing, and singing is art. But other than that, I'm having a rough one. I also love that she uses despond as a verb. That is, in fact, a real word. I thought it might have been just like wordplay, but no, despond is an archaic verb. It's the word that despondent comes from.
Yeah.
Love that detail.
That's great.
And then as she's writing, and I want to give props to another little detail here, a paper falls down in front of her, and you're like, oh, it's a secret note. And then we get a shot of her setting her notebook next to her on the rock so that she can get up and bend down to get it. It's such a little, it's like a second and a half, but she had her notebook in her lap, and so we're going to make sure we get to see her deal with that before she bends over to pick this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just great. You're absolutely right. Those kind of details, and we did this all the time, and it isn't like someone was directed to do that. This is what you do, and it's just makes the character more authentic, So
Yeah.
So it turns out to be an invitation.
Well, the note is not an invitation. The note just says turn around.
Oh, right.
Which I thought was a very good joke.
And then she turns around and then, wah, there's Fritz.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, this is an invitation to potentially join. And there's this great little bit after he gives it to her where he just sort of goes, grovel, grovel. And she goes, grovel. Yes. Thank you. Grovel, 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 grovel. I don't do it justice, but it tickled me so pink.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
The comedy beats and the physical comedy matching the timing and the writing, it's all so good. And she gets very excited and goes to tell Red about this. And, Red tries to remind her, like, okay, just remember, this is a very silly thing. And
hold on, there's a great little beat there because that is a callback. We are now moving into running gag territory because this is the second time she's come up on Red in the middle of something and yelled Red.
Yes.
And Red full on flops and falls out of her hammock, and we get to see Lanford do a startled, springy, slinky flop.
We also get this great line where, because Moki's like, were you sleeping? And Red goes, it was nap time. I was in bed. My eyes were closed. What's your guess? And it's just such good, straight sarcasm from Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
There's even the follow-up line of, and Moki goes, I have news that will frizz your fur. I have news that will kink your tail and make your pigtails pop. And Red goes, this news will completely rearrange my body, so tell me.
I was like, that's such a Jerry line. It's so
such
good.
a Jerry line. All of this is just such, yeah.
And we get to see this dynamic. Like, there's this really great Red and Moki dynamic back and forth. You get to see Red being genuinely annoyed and still supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can be both.
You can be both,
It
in
can
fact.
easily be both,
So Moki gets to the end of the invitation and finally reads, under no circumstances must you tell anyone about this invitation, and freaks out. Like, oh no, I've broken the rules. There's going to be some horrible consequences.
Yep.
And there will be.
Oh, yes.
There will be. Absolute consequences. Yeah, and so then we get to see the beginning of this meeting, and oh my god. It's so good. There's I don't even know where to start.
So we get the return of Lou Fraggle, who was the one that Moki was insisting that Wembley had a crush on.
Oh,
She's
cool.
back now dressed up as a Poohbah.
I didn't even clock that. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Muppet Wiki.
That was episode 13.
Thank you. And then Convincing John, also dressed up as a Poohbah.
I did clock that one.
I knew the voice, but I just figured it was another sort of Dr. Teeth-esque voice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I completely forgot about how we did this until I was watching it again. I mean, I said, well, that's Jim's voice. Was Jim there? Okay. And I hadn't connected it to Convincing John yet. I said, I guess Jim was there. Oh, Richard was there too. Okay. And yeah, I mean, and of course, they're just wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting note that, so this is unfortunately the final appearance of Convincing John.
Oh.
But in the previous episodes, he'd been like a regular, rod hand puppet. And in this episode, he has live hands.
Heck yeah.
Because he just needed to do more.
Right.
But we get this like, oh, I am the announcer and I am unworthy to speak the name. I will announce this person, but I cannot even speak their name. Oh, well, I am the formal name sayer and I will say the name with the announcer. And it's just the most ridiculous, over the top, silly self-importance. And it just tickled me so pink. I know I've used that idiom already, but I was even more tickled and even more pink.
Well, I think that's the right response this show. You know,
Yeah.
Definitely.
this might be a good to talk about briefly. One of the inspirations for Jerry in this
Yeah.
show okay, because I didn't remember this until Jocelyn reminded me. So Jerry and Susan Jewell came to visit. Jocelyn, who at that point lived in Edinburgh, and they went to a very fine restaurant called Preston Fields, and it must have been on Robbie Burns Day or around the time, which is in January. And they do this thing a lot of the Scottish restaurants do uh, for Robert Burns Night,
Mm.
and that includes this procession where everybody stands in the restaurant, and the bagpiper comes out, and then the chef comes out with a haggis in a platter, and they walk around the entire restaurant. And then what happens is later on, someone recites this really silly Robert Burns piece called "Ode to a Haggis," and how wonderful
Hmm.
this food is compared to anything else in the world. And Jerry just found this hilarious. Okay, and that he understood the reason and all that, but it was like, and Burns would have understood it, but he just thought what people take seriously is really kind of funny, and
Hmm.
that's not the whole part of this, but that was the key inspiration for this. And when we talk about this first appearance of the Poohbahs, it reminds me of what that must have been for Jerry.
Yeah, that I watched the little video you said. That was a great moment of like, yes, people have
Yeah,
been doing silly rituals for as long as we have been people.
Hmm.
forever, forever. Yes, right.
And so then we get a song, and this song rules. We get synth trumpets, and they go super hard, and we get these amazing, just like intonation, like vocal and then the first word of the song is toenail,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I was not expecting that. I don't know anyone who was.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, I was, because I knew it was coming, and I'm still like, am I gonna understand this song this time? Maybe a tiny bit, but it's still, I think the point is that it's intentionally ridiculous and there is nothing to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, they say toenail won't fail, and my toenails fail all the time.
This is so Dennis and Phil. I mean,
Mm.
it's just, I mean, I adore every song they made. I love all the heartfelt ones and the more existential ones, but the silly ones, I'd forgotten how wonderful this song is. And again, like Jerry, Dennis Lee is like one of the great poets of Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and was the first poet laureate of Toronto, and
Nice. can
can be really, you know, writes a lot of serious poetry, but writes a lot of really silly poetry, and he works out a rhythm. A lot of people don't know that the way they wrote is that after figuring out where they wanted songs and where we wanted songs, and we had those conversations, Phil would come up with the song, and then Dennis would write the lyrics. It's
Mm.
completely opposite than a lot of people do. And Dennis, I just saw Dennis a couple of weeks ago, and because he's got a new book out, which this is only coincidental, called Wrestling with Cadence, which is
Ooh.
a book about his process, and he talks about how rhythm and cadence is critical to how he's able to do what he does,
Mm.
and that's really how they work together. But then he did all of these wonderfully silly songs. He wrote a lot of kids poetry as well. But for us, every week it was just something wonderful. And toenails don't fail. I mean,
Hmm.
it's right up there with seasons of mist and mellow fruitfulness. As far as I'm concerned. Anyhow, it's a great song.
Fantastic.
Just on this watch through, it was the first time that I noticed that in the verse where they talk about these two characters having a conversation, I was like, oh, those are the same names of the silly languages that they make Moki speak later, Uffafluff and Upadad.
Oh yeah, right.
So I was like, oh, this whole society has its own lore about whoever these people were, and now they speak their languages maybe to honor them. I was just like, there's so much here. And the rest of the words are very, they're kind of dark, like life is busy, life is grim, life's a light that's dim, dim, dim. Treat it with a frown, like don't be happy, don't be gay, don't just laugh your cares away, which is in direct opposition to the theme song.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, knowing that this is a silly society, and now they're spoofing seriousness itself.
Mm-hmm. Also, just the bassist is having so much fun with that bass line. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then they're all set to induct Moki in, but one of the Poohbahs has an objection.
Mm-hmm.
The most noble and telepathic mind reader, who knew that you were going to say that, says that Moki told her roommate about the invitation. And at this point, it's another one of those great moments where they have a lot of respect for the viewer, because a more ham-handed show would be like, oh, we're gonna zoom in on the pigtails, or but no, you just get to see like that talks with Red's voice, and that Poohbah has Red's body language and mannerisms.
Yeah,
you get to figure it out.
Yeah,
exactly. So the audience knows before Moki does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was something I noticed, again, this time only on the rewatch, that when Moki's having this first, like, really public interaction with all of the Poohbahs at once, I paid attention to, because she's sort of dressed up in, like, kind of a shabby approximation of their, grand, sparkly, elaborate costumes. And she's got this little half mask that she holds up on her face, because their masks are all staying in place. And hers keeps slipping, and she has to keep putting it back. And this time I paid attention to when the mask slips and when she puts it back. And it's very revealing.
Oh.
Oh, when?
I'm chalking this all up to amazing puppeteers. Probably, like, I don't even know if this was something that she thought about in the moment or not, but to me, it seemed obvious that when Moki is either stumbling or caught off guard is when she kind of lets the mask slip, and then when she's like, oh no, I'm doing something and I need to be focused and serious, is when she puts the mask back on. And then, just like in real life, when she starts stumbling and forgetting herself and being herself, that's when the mask starts slipping.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't remember that at all, but I think Kathy would have decided to do that herself. She was very
I believe that.
Very precise in what she did. She was the most she approached the roles in a very methodical way, like a lot of actors do. I mean, Dave Goelz did it too in a different kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm sure she knew exactly when she was going to do that and why.
Yeah. And I just love that the first rule of Fraggle Club is the same as the first rule of Fight Club. And Moki broke it. You don't talk about Fraggle Club.
Yes, and for the record, this is a little earlier than Fight Club.
Oh, yes.
So actually, Fight Club got inspired by this.
Bingo.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, hold on. If there was a Fraggle version of Fight Club, who would get cast as who?
No.
Oh, I don't know. That's
okay. Hear me out.
World's
hear me
oldest
out.
Fraggle throwing pies in people's faces. That's the only version I'll accept of a Fraggle Fight Club.
Right.
I feel like Wembley would be the main character though, and Gobo would be Tyler Durden.
Oh, I don't like that train of thought.
Okay, we
Yeah,
can hop off of this.
Yeah.
Sprocket's dancing around in Doc's chipmunk hat.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And we get just another one of those perfect just comedy beat. Doc goes, Sprocket, what are you doing wearing that helmet? That looks ridiculous on you. I, on the other hand, look quite dashing. And then he turns around, knocks everything over with the belt sheath that's on him, and then walks out the door.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It was great. It's great.
Yeah, there are moments when the middle beat of Doc and Sprocket's segments sometimes feel like less connected to the overall story, and then you have to get the final beat to find out, like, how does this connect to the main story? With this one, it's clear the whole time.
Yeah.
It's totally clear, and there's a build to it too. So it's you're right. Sometimes that second scene became a little tricky to do. It's like the traveling Matt postcards. Sometimes that was getting those into the episodes was really hard. So
Yeah.
there isn't one in this. Yeah.
Speaking of which, this might be the first episode, at least as far as I can think of, where we haven't gotten a postcard at all.
No, there's definitely been at least one other one, because I
okay.
remember
There's been a
being
few.
surprised. Yeah, maybe there's been 2 or 3 before. Not that many. It's
Yeah.
definitely not regular, but I got to the end of the episode and I was like, oh, no Matt. All right.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I think works for this one, because it's so full of other good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really very, and it one scene flows to the next and the next. The hardest thing with postcards was finding the moment.
Yeah.
And they were best when there was something quite directly related to where they needed to talk to Matt, or Matt's presence had to be in there, or it had an effect on what happened. But it was one of those things we would always think, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? Do we really have to do this? And of course, the audience loves Traveling Matt. We love Traveling Matt, but it was just hard to get into the story.
So Moki is told that she has to do a trial because she revealed the scroll, right?
Before we get there, we have the last third beat of Moki waking up Red by going, Red!
Right.
And it's clearly in the middle of the night, and Red wakes up with this just, haven't we done this before?
Yeah.
So now part of that redemption process is that she has to bring Red in on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who she doesn't realize is already in on it.
Right.
Yep.
And I love she says, Moki, why don't you tell the Poohbahs to take their club, fold it 4 ways, and give it to the doozers? Just like, that's such a polite, kid-friendly version of how we normally hear. Why don't you tell that person to take this thing and fill in the blank?
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great.
So we watch as Moki has to convince what she thinks she is convincing Red, while Red is out doing a jog, which, knowing the end and that Red is actually in on it, like, her being like, yeah, you can convince me while I'm jogging. Like, it's just an extra layer of, like, if you need to take it seriously, then I'm gonna up the ante a little bit.
Right.
And Moki's just she says, I've got to become a Poohbah or I'll die. And it's like, Moki, I get it. I've been there, but you gotta chill, man. It's so intense.
And we learn that Red has to introduce this speech in a pig Latin version called Upadad.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of A, you say Upadad. So yes becomes S Upatad. And I just think at Thupatad's illy Supatad.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
But the whole piece is just, it's so wonderfully constructed in an invisible way. It all builds, and so just builds and builds and builds on what's happened before, and everything is set up. But again, you don't see the mechanics of it, and it's wonderful. But and of course, this would be Jerry's version of Pig Latin. So it's, do kids still do Pig Latin? I don't know that they do.
Great question. Hey, younger listeners, if there's anything like this that the kids are doing these days, tell us about it.
Yeah, be curious.
Yeah, I'm not a teacher anymore. I'm out of the loop. Tell us.
And we get our second song. So this song is called Keep On Smilin', and apparently Gobo wrote it.
Yeah.
And when Red starts singing it, Gobo and Wembley just show up to like, oh, they're singing my song. Let's keep going.
Well, see, again, that's a really nice moment too, because we haven't had Gobo and Wembley in the show, right? And you do want the Fraggle Five in the show, but other people would have devised some other thing that was extraneous to it. And this is so natural in the way the songs work. That's one of the other things I love about the show, is how the music works. Is it's not a musical. It's natural. They just are musical people, so they sing. And so it's just, when I saw that again, I thought, oh my, this is smart.
Yeah. I also love the intro to this song. Red says, I gotta say, you're not smiling much these days, Moki. And that's such a careful and caring piece of feedback for a friend. To just be like, hey, like, this seems really important to you, but you don't seem happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The difference between, like, taking something seriously when it's bringing you joy, which is something that you can absolutely do, and taking something seriously and it's just making your life worse and harder.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole time, when, her friends are singing this song about, like, oh, keep on smiling. When you smile, life smiles back at you. And Moki is just miserable throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. I also, It's interesting because I normally have some reluctance to the like, oh, well, if you just keep smiling, everything's going to be fine kind of mentality. I think that isn't always the most helpful one.
Yeah.
But I do genuinely feel like they stick the landing on that because they land the chorus on, if you keep on smiling, life smiles back at you.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And so the idea is not just like, hey, like, you just need to be happy instead of sad. It's like, hey, if you give smiles into the world, you get that back.
Yeah.
And that's a much more nuanced message.
Yeah, and because Moki is, Moki is not convinced by the song.
Nope.
That message is there, but she doesn't change till later. And I think you would feel cheated if she suddenly smiled,
Absolutely.
I also, we went past it a little bit, but I want to point out there's a little doozer scene.
Oh, yeah.
In the establishing shot where one little doozer's getting a cup of the hot stuff. And he asks for those jelly-filled food pellets, and the guy says, no, just custard. And it's just like, oh, look at you in your little world. I, too, would like a cup of the hot stuff.
Yeah.
So Moki is helping Red practice this silly Upadad language, and Boober kind of, in his boobery way, is just kind of very quietly entering behind them, holding a basket of something, and goes, what's wrong with Moki? Because he hears her speaking this very silly thing. And Red, wonderfully, is, again, being supportive and like, sure, I'll help you tell a silly lie to cover up this secret thing that you're doing. And says that Moki has a terrible fever and she's delirious, which is the wrong thing to tell Boober because, of course, what is Boober going to do with that information? He's going to try and cure her, because of course he knows exactly what's wrong with her.
He just happens to have it.
Conveniently, I just happen to have this soup right here. And we get this incredible, physical comedy from Kathy Mullen drinking this. Oh, now okra is a running joke. We forgot to mention that earlier.
Yeah,
there's some setup there. It's okra surprise. Well, I hate okra. Well, the surprise is that it doesn't have any okra.
And now Boober just happens to have okra soup. And so Moki is both actually like blah, but then overacting to show like, oh, I'm sick and this is having a big effect and it's going to cure me. And
I mean, this scene just like basically, I mean, Boober has the soup on him when he's like, soup will cure her. Of course he has soup because he's Boober. And then she takes a big swig of it and it's okra soup. And then we kind of end with her just making this like face at the camera. And that's and then it goes back into the Poohbahs.
Well, at first she's like, oh, if it hasn't cured you yet, then like, here, I have more soup. And she's like, oh, no, thank you very much. I'm cured. I feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for helping. And Red kind of like ushers Boober out the door. And then Moki realizes, oh no, I'm running late. I have to get out of here.
Yeah, that's it.
And so she makes it there, and she's all ready, and they say, well, you need to do the trial, or you need to tell us what should be said, I think is the phrase.
Tell us what you need to tell us. Tell us what you should tell us.
Tell us what you should tell us.
And that's something that he offers in the very beginning when they first interact, and she has no idea what he's talking about, and it assumes it must be, at least I'm assuming that she's assuming, oh, there must be some, like, line, like a secret code that I have to know in order to tell them to gain access.
Yeah.
And once again, he's giving her this offer of, hey, you could just tell us what you should tell us. And she's still not ready to understand exactly what that means.
No, she's not.
And we get the best roll call.
Yes.
I like this roll call better than the one in Muppet Treasure Island, because everyone is just Fritz.
Yeah.
And if you are present, you say present. And if you are absent, you say linoleum.
Right. And one of them does.
Yes. Oh, that Fritz, he's never here when you need him. Yeah, this is the point where I was like, I want to be a Poohbah. This sounds great.
Yeah.
So we get to see she has to do this introduction to the speech, but then it turns out, and so she does this, and then it turns out that wasn't enough, and so she has to introduce Red in a second silly secret language, and then also has to do that while doing a bunch of ridiculous things like standing on one leg, jumping around in a circle, and hiccuping.
Yes, this is the ordeal of the Glumberglotz, which is a lovely silly word, and I love that Jim Henson is doing that, wiggling his fingers mysteriously. The ordeal of the Glumberglots every time he says it.
There's just some wonderful puppeteering in this sequence, you know.
Yeah. And I think it's finally when they're not just making Moki do all these silly things, but now they're bringing in Red, that she must wear funny nose glasses and juggle okra soup, which is a great puppetry moment, that there's like what I assume is probably an old pickle prop being tossed around, but if it goes fast enough, it could look like okra, and these little cups balanced on the tip of her tail and wiggling around. And Moki finally starts to laugh.
Yeah.
Says, I'm very sorry, but this is so silly. And it turns out that's what she needed to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, all right, you did it. You remember. And Red is able to,
Well, they all reveal themselves at this point, don't they?
Yeah, that's when they start taking off their masks and going like, it was me the whole time.
Red reveals
You
herself.
were the mind reader.
We get to see Convincing John shows up, and so does Lanford in the background.
Yeah. Which, I'm like, how long has this been going on with both of Moki's roommates and not Moki?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, she wasn't ready to join until she was ready to not take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Gobo sort of explain, like, yeah, we made this society for whenever we think stuff's a little too serious, so we can get together and be silly together. And I love that. The idea that it's fun to be silly. It's not just it's fun to be silly together, but it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole raison d'etre of the Muppets.
Yup.
100%.
That's the whole thing. People ask me, what's it like to work with it? I say, you work hard. I said, but basically you're just laughing and eating all the time together. So
That's good living.
Yeah.
We take that.
I think it's... I'm remembering that episode of The Simpsons where the ghost of Oscar Wilde is actually saying all these bon mots. I think he says, the Irish treat a serious thing as a joke and a joke as a serious thing. And I was like, oh, that feels very Fraggly.
That's very Fraggle. Yes, I never knew that. That's great.
And I love this tiny little detail that as we fade back up to the workshop, you hear Gobo very quietly, like as it's fading away, say, tomorrow we'll tell Boober.
Yes.
So back up in the workshop, Doc is back and he's wearing the robe and sword, but just kind of holding the helmet. And he says he's not a chipmunk. He just burst out laughing in the middle of the initiation ceremony, and they took away his ears from his helmet.
And see, what's nice to me about that is not repeating what we had just done in Fraggle Rock. This is a different version of the same thing, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, because the chipmunks are taking themselves too seriously.
Yeah,
they're like,
that's right, yeah.
You laughed in our serious ceremony. You don't get to join our club.
Yeah.
Which is often what it's like being a silly creature out in the world. Lots of clubs taking themselves too seriously.
There's an awful lot of that. So.
Alrighty, and that is that. At the end of the episode, we usually talk about how we can make the world a little fragglier.
Yeah, any other thoughts about this episode, about Fraggle Rock in general?
Well, again, having seen it again, I just feel like this is so Jerry. It's so the Muppets. It's so, I mean, the Fraggles really. And see, I was thinking about this morning, that this is how Jerry tells the story of the Emperor's New Clothes.
Ah.
That Moki's the Emperor. Okay.
I love that.
And I mean, I hadn't thought of that till this morning, but it's Fraggle Rock is a gift that keeps on giving for both of us, all of us who made it, and also for people who our audience. And the fact that all of you love it, the fact that there are young kids who love it. I mean, it's really quite a wonderful, humbling thing. And so it's and the ideas are as important now as ever. We are all interconnected. Don't take things too seriously. There is joy, if you smile, usually the world will smile back at you. And we need a lot of smiling back at us these days. So
Oh yeah.
so. But I was just happy that this is the one we picked to do, because I remember liking it, but it's really good. Really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it shows that whole Jerry was a wonderful farce writer, and the way he did it, I love Boober's Quiet Day too, which was wonderfully put together. But this just does how to make the world more. We just need more awareness and joy and singing and all those things. poetry, so.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to ask me about it all?
I remember I took a note earlier. The second song, the Keep on Smiling song, I feel like it mentions we've had this conversation about how the lyrics of Fraggle Rock songs will sometimes mention a thing that Fraggles would have no reason to know about. I think in this one it's like a rhinoceros or something.
Yeah.
Was there ever a discussion about that of like, oh, in the songs, Fraggles can talk about whatever they want? Or
I think it's, I don't recall we talked about that. There was a quality of, and we might have in some specific instance, but this is part of Dennis, and how he has a very famous poem for kids called Alligator Pie.
I don't think I've heard that one.
That at least Canadian kids, his kids' poems are great. Up here, it's really a big thing. So the idea that they could talk about alligators and rhinoceroses and all that sort of stuff I don't know that he said alligators in this show, but who's to say there's not a rhinoceros somewhere in Fraggle Rock,
there you go.
Where I don't think he would have gone is like talking about a computer or talking about,
right. Yeah.
I just think it's his own internal barometer, and also he really gets to his inner kid easily, and so rhinoceros is a funny word. And he would play with there's another poem which I can't do for you, that kid's poem. It's got all these incredible Canadian city names, town names. It's just, just the rhythm of it is just fun. Kids just love saying this. So no, I think it's, I don't recall us ever saying something like that. I mean, we were so delighted every Tuesday. What day was every Tuesday? Tuesdays they come in with the songs for the next week, and they were just joyous. I mean, they were just, I think we never rejected a song. We had a few times when the script had changed so much between when they got the outline of the first draft and what we had as the final draft that we didn't use the song. And I think there's about a dozen of those somewhere that we would have Phil's cassette tape of, and but they never got played. But those were just always, we just laughed. They were just so wonderful.
Speaking of which, not sure when this episode is coming out exactly, but recently our friend Grant Harding was able to, we published an article on Tough Pigs. Basically, Grant was able to go to the Dennis Lee Library and get some recordings of some of these original demo tapes from these songs, and even including some unused ones.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
I saw that when you posted it, and I keep meaning to mention it to John Tartaglia. I just think that they should put out those tapes. I have a lot of them myself, just our versions of it in a completely disorganized way. But Phil was a fantastic performer, and way back, Boys and Girls, to when there were things called 8-tracks, he was given an 8-track. He did the demos on an 8-track, and then would put them down into a cassette, and he would do the different parts and all that sort of stuff. And they're really wonderful. And to be able to not only have him hear some of those songs that he did that we all know, but to be able to find, and I haven't really looked in mine to see what I've got of some of the ones that we never put on, would be great. I need to see if Johnny is interested in that, but I'm sure he's interested. Whether they could make it happen, right? It took us forever to be able to get some of them. Took us forever to get the DVDs done. Took us forever to be able to do music, the records, and the CDs, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think I think people would like it if they could hear it. So
definitely. Yeah, there's definitely an audience for it. Whether or not the production is able to happen, there's definitely an audience for it.
There's definitely an audience. I have a question. My question is non-Fraggly, so we can come. You could edit this part out if you want, but I'm just curious about the three of you. I mean, Julia, you're a poet. Is that right?
Yes.
And I can get your poem somewhere?
Yeah.
One of them's called Weird.
Oh yes, let's all plug our pluggables. What do we do out in the real world?
I know what you all do. I'm curious.
I mean, I've been writing poetry for my whole life, but really like the last decade. My book is actually, I realize, was right here. Weirdo.
Oh, weirdo.
Weirdo,
Okay,
but there is a
yes.
poem called Weird in it. I'm working on my second book right now, but yeah, that's my main thing when I'm not talking Fraggles or walking dogs, which there was a dog on my lap earlier. Beth, you're gonna have
I saw
to
that.
Yep.
edit out some snorting on my end
No worries.
before I kicked him out.
I saw some very cute little ears.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I met Julia. She was traveling through my town and mentioned offhandedly that she had a chapbook of Muppet poems, which was a different one, and I was like, oh, I have found my people.
Yes.
You did, yeah. And what do you do when you're not doing this?
I am mostly a writer. I still trying to figure out my niche. I have a lot of ideas, and I want to try every possible medium. I want to try comics. I want to do screenwriting. I've got a whole bunch of novels that didn't get published. I want to do it all. But I recently had a short story come out in an anthology that I'm really proud of. The anthology is called Claw Machine. It's available from littlekeypress.com. All of the stories are about claw machines in one form or another, and it's more dark fiction. Kind of, some of them get pretty scary, but I promise mine has a happy ending.
It does. I really liked it, Beth.
Having read both Julia's book of poems and Beth's short story, they're all just fantastic.
That's great.
Thank you.
And what about you?
So I work at a water treatment plant right now, helping make water safe to drink. But my art hobby on the side is music. I do singing, songwriting. I don't know if you're familiar with lo-fi hip hop as a genre, just like really chill kind of ambient background. But I have one EP on Spotify.
Oh.
God, I haven't plugged this in a while. It's called Moments and Memories by Badger Blossom. Badger Blossom's all one word. And I'm in the process of doing a mixing and mastering for like a singer-songwriter EP that actually has like my recorded voice on it and is about depression and dealing with depression and trying to, come together and support each other when we're all feeling awful.
Mm.
I like all that stuff, and I know, I know a lot about depression too. So, all this stuff is good. So just all of you, let me know what you're doing. And
Oh, you got it.
Oh, that's
really nice.
lovely of you. Thank you so
That's
much.
amazing, man.
well,
Thank you.
people, I'd say that there were people who helped me a lot as I was moving through things.
Mm.
And I think part of what you do is you try to,
You pay it forward.
pay it forward.
Yeah.
So it's, because, when we do what we do, and it's that vulnerable state where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm working on something right now. It's like, oh God, is this going to be any good? Why am I doing this? Maybe, I think I need another cup of coffee. There's all those kinds of
I cannot
things,
tell you
right?
how validating it is to know that you, in all of your amazing status and creations, still have those like
Yeah.
feelings
Well,
of
you still
recreation.
have. I think that's the thing. I'll tell you too. A writer named Jerzy Kaczynski, he's famous for a book
Hmm.
that became a movie called Being There.
I've heard of being there.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so he was a Holocaust survivor,
Mhm.
and he happened to teach a class when I was in drama school, and he used to say, "Nothing is so patient as a blank piece of paper."
Oh, that's so good.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wow.
and Jerry Jewell, on the other hand, always had on his computer, "Not writing is worse."
Ooh.
That's really good.
I might steal that
That's
one.
really
I steal all this stuff. It's
I like
Yes.
that.
Also, I
Writing is
just looked it
worse.
up really quick. I love the movie Being There.
Oh, you've seen it?
I haven't seen that one in years. It's so good.
Oh, I'm gonna have to add that
It's
to
a
my
wonderful
list.
movie. The book is really good. He was writing that book when I was a student,
Mm.
but the movie is wonderful. And for a little Muppety thing in it,
Mm?
at the beginning of the movie, there's a scene where two people are looking at the house that he's going to get thrown out of because
Mhm.
the person he's working for has died, and the woman in it is Fran Brill.
What?
Wow.
Oh,
Oh, that's
That's
delightful.
so cool.
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah, I saw that about 15 years ago again, and I because I'd seen it originally before I knew Fran, and so it was like, oh my God. So
Being There, I think, has my favorite last moment of a movie maybe ever. It's up there with
Ooh.
that last beat in The Thing where they just kind of sit down and pass the bottle back and forth. But is just...
It's a wonderful moment. It's a wonderful moment, yeah.
And it's so good, I'm not even going to spoil it, Beth. We
Great.
should, and Julia, we should all watch this movie. It's very good.
We should all watch it. Yeah.
My other favorite ending of a movie is the end of French Connection 2.
Ooh.
Oh.
I'm going to write that down. I haven't heard.
French Connection 2, I think, is better than French Connection 1, and French Connection 1 was really, really good.
I don't think I even knew there was a French Connection 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was written by a guy named Alex Jacobs, and I knew his wife, who was a great designer. And I met him once or twice, and he said he's got this job to do this thing, and he had made it already. And he said, this won't give anything away, but he said, I now have to compete with one of the greatest chase scenes on film.
Mm.
So I decided to set the piece in Marseille, where you can't do a car chasing. Okay? And he said, I also want to do everything that I think about Americans. He was British. And he says, they're uncouth, they're difficult, they're ornery, but they get the job done. So, anyhow, it's a really good movie. I haven't seen it in a while either, but
oh, great.
Anyhow.
Cool.
Alrighty. At the end of it, we always talk about how we can make the world a little fragglier. Sort of lessons we can take from this episode and carry out into the world so we can keep the ripples rippling.
Well, I think don't take anything too seriously. And when you see something that's overly serious, start laughing.
That's a great one.
Oof. Mine is, if you need to feel your feelings in the moment, poetry is a great way to process.
Hey. I think mine would be, it's okay to take something too seriously for a bit, as long as it's also bringing you joy. But if you realize that you're taking something too seriously and it's also making you miserable,
that's a clue.
Maybe find a way to get back to the joy and something that you can freely be silly about, even when you care a lot about it.
That's good.
Mine is, unless someone is sick or dying, don't wake up your roommates if they're sleeping.
Love it.
If there's like an urgent, dangerous situation, go for it. Otherwise, none of it is so important that they need to get woken up in the middle of sleepy times.
Perfect.
Love it.
All right. Well, yeah, we've talked a bit about where you can find us. Larry Merkin, thank you so much for being here today.
My joy. I'm happy to do it. If you need something in the future, don't hesitate to ask. So, this is great. You guys just keep the whole thing going, so it's great.
Yeah.
Just got to keep the ripples going through the generations.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you're working on or that you have just finished working on that you want to plug in particular, and let us know where our listeners they can find it?
Well, the last thing, I'm developing something with PBS Kids that we all love. That we now gotta wait till it's with 9-story Scholastic, and it's animated. It's not puppets, and I can't talk about it, but I will let you know. We don't have a green light yet. Everybody loves it, but I think if we're lucky, maybe we start writing in the spring. We'll see, and then it'll be a while. Anyhow, I'll let you know. Anybody? I have a website that I haven't updated in about 8 years. I'm not good at self-promotion. I'm working on a couple of things. And I tell you what, if any of it happens, I will be in touch and let you know. But
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Perfect.
Please let us know. We're happy to throw a plug slot in.
yeah, and I'm totally like, if somebody wants to get in touch with me, just do it through you, and you let me know, and I'm happy to.
Aw,
I'm happy
Of
to.
course.
I answer my emails. I'm not always speedy, but I do answer my emails. So.
Heard. Alrighty, Beth and Julia, you want to tell folks where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on social media at Beth Anna Cook. That's Anna with 2 N's, and occasionally writing stuff for Tough Pigs.
You can find me at Geek Girl Grown Up, juliagaskill.com for poetry, and then also occasionally writing for Tough Pigs.
You can't find me at any secret society meeting, but there is somebody there with my exact height, weight, and builds. Answering to a completely different name, even though they are using a voice that sounds remarkably like mine.
All right, that is it for this one. Reminder to check out toughpigs.com, give us a good review on your podcatcher of choice, and we will see you next time.
Don't forget to dance your cares away.
Dan at Fraggle Talk.
Wow.
Bam.
Fraggle Talk Classic is brought to you by toughpigs.com. Fraggle Talk art by Dave Hulteen Jr. The Fraggle Rock mark and logo, characters, and elements are trademarks of the Jim Henson Company. All rights reserved. Fraggle Rock theme song, written by Philip Balsam and Dennis Lee, is used with permission. Special thanks to the Jim Henson Company and the entire Fraggle Rock family. For more from Tough Pigs, follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook, and make sure to check out our Discord server, TeePublic merch store, and Patreon. Fraggle Talk Classic is produced and edited by me, Beth Cook. Thank you to Joe Hennis, the Tough Pigs Muppet Fan Podcast executive producer. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time, down at Fraggle Talk.
Also, I just want to point out, there's the Grand Poohbah Burglabem.
Begler Beg.
Begler bag.
There we go.
Begler bag.
And then there's just a dude just bowing to him at all times.
Yep.
Saying grovel, grovel, and sounding very similar to the Hamburglar, as if he had found religion.